And for today's webinar is brought to you by our guests, Kanika Medora and Grace Sampson with the Social Security Administration. They both bring a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate both taking the time to be here today and provide this great presentation. And without further ado, I would like to pass it over to Kanika and Grace to share the importance of wage reporting as an SSI and/or SSDI beneficiary.
Yes, Julian, thank you for the warm welcome. Good morning, everyone. We also want to extend our thanks to all of you this morning who are spending time with us to learn more about Social Security information. And Peter, thank you so much for sharing your personal story. What a very inspiring journey. We appreciate you sharing that with us. Like Julian mentioned, my name is Grace Sampson, the Public Affairs Specialist for the Bay Area, which covers 27 offices here in Northern California. With me today is Kanika, our Area Work Incentives Coordinator. And today we will be discussing with you wage reporting, the importance of reporting your wages as one of the main reporting responsibilities for beneficiaries collecting disability. We'll highlight some online resources that are available and touch on the other important responsibilities for beneficiaries. Before we begin, I do want to share that the material in this presentation has been prepared by the Social Security Administration's Public Affairs Office, and it is intended for educational purposes only. Participation in this presentation does not constitute an endorsement by the Social Security Administration or its employees of the organizations and information and products not provided by SSA. Kanika will be go ahead and talking about the agenda in the next few slides.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Peter. We are so excited to be reviewing wage reporting with you today, and our agenda is as follows. We're going to be reviewing requirements for reporting earnings, how to report wages to Social Security for both the Supplemental Security Income and Social Security Disability programs. From there, we'll go on to the SSI telephone wage reporting, SSA mobile wage reporting, and my wage report, or my WR. We'll also cover troubleshooting, reporting responsibilities, and go into our Q&A session. And with that, we'll get started. So I'm sure all of you have seen our great Social Security YouTube channel and the helpful videos that we have on it. We are going to start with a video that reviews reporting wages for both programs, SSI Supplemental Security Income and the Social Security Disability Program.
If you are a Supplemental Security Income, SSI, recipient, or Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, beneficiary, it's important to report your wages to Social Security. Timely reporting of wages helps you receive the correct payment amount and avoid overpayments and underpayments. We have several automated or electronic options for wage reporting. The toll-free SSI telephone wage reporting system, the SSA mobile wage reporting application that you can download on Apple or Android mobile devices, and the wage reporting option in your personal My Social Security account. These options can save you time and help you report important wage information to us without the need to call, visit, or write your local Social Security office. Only certain individuals can report monthly wages using these options, and one option may be better for you to use than another, depending on your situation. You can report wages if you are working and receiving SSI or SSDI, the working spouse or parent of a person receiving SSI if you live with the person, the representative payee for one or more people receiving SSDI or SSI, or the sponsor of a person receiving SSI. Institutional and organizational representative payees should continue to report wages via mail, fax, or Dropbox. What are the requirements for reporting earnings when you are working and receiving benefits? SSI recipients and SSDI beneficiaries should contact SSA if there are changes in work activities. SSI recipients should report wages by the 6th day of each month and can only report wages for the prior month. Wages reported after the 6th day of each month might not be reflected accurately. SSDI beneficiaries may report at any time, up to 24 prior months. To get started, contact your local Social Security office to see which option is best for you. If automated wage reporting is an option for you, the office will provide you with instructions for how to report wages using your preferred method. If you have additional questions, please contact us toll-free at 1-800-772-1213. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
I apologize. I believe there's a technical error with going forward on the screen, the video. But I am going to go ahead and review and highlight what the video did go over. So we'll go into that next, as well as provide links to the video. Okay, so requirements for reporting earnings when working and receiving benefits. SSI recipients and Social Security disability beneficiaries should contact Social Security if there are any changes in work activity. To elaborate on that, when an individual stops working, starts working, reduces their working hours, has income-related work expenses, things like that. SSI recipients should report wages by the 6th day of each month. Wages reported after the 6th day of each month may not be reflected accurately, and that is a really important point. Social Security disability beneficiaries may report at any time and up to 24 prior months. And next, we will go over the options for reporting. There are multiple options for reporting wages. The ones that we are going to be reviewing with you today are the SSI telephone wage reporting system, the SSA mobile wage reporting app, and the My Social Security account option, which is My WR or My Wage Report. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Grace, who is going to review our first option.
Thank you, Kanika. So on this slide here, we're highlighting the SSA telephone wage reporting, which was the first method mentioned in the video as well as on the prior slide. Now, just to reiterate some of the points from the YouTube video that we shared, recipients, consumers, and payees can use this telephone service to report total monthly wages. And we do have instructions available at the field office, or we can share them out as well to show you how to walk through the telephone wage reporting service. Again, some important reminders about utilizing this method of reporting wages is number one, to report your total gross wages for the month and the date paid. The second one is to report wages again within the first 6 days of the month, to avoid any overpayment or underpayment, to make sure that your wages are reflected accurately on the record. And thirdly is to make sure that you can provide the recipient's name as it appears on their Social Security record and their Social Security number. We've also inserted the phone number for this wage reporting here at the bottom of the slide. This is also one of our publications that we have, an easy handout here with a QR code that'll direct you immediately to the option to download our app. There's an actual app that you can download on your phone if you do have a smartphone. to report your wages. It's available in Google Play Store as well as the Apple Play Store. This is also a flyer that we have within the offices that you can ask for if you're visiting an office. It's got the same type of information. It gives instructions on how to access the monthly wage reporting tool through your My SSA account. It also mentions the other options that you can utilize as well, as far as faxing your wages directly to the electronic fax number of your local field office, as well as the original method of mailing your wages to an office or dropping them off into an office physically. Again, you see that QR code there. Scanning that will link you to how to create your My SSA account. This next slide is just another one of our flyers or pamphlets to highlight and support wage reporting. This about two or three pages. It's available in the field offices if you want the detailed instructions on how to download the mobile wage reporting app, as well as how to use it and fill out all the fields. We're highlighting here just the things to know and to keep in mind before reporting your wages on your mobile device. You can see here the reporters should be at least 18 years old. And again, we want the wage earner Social Security number, if that's the person that's working. You want to have every pay stub the wage earner received for the entire month. And it should show their pay date as well as the gross wage amount, remembering that gross wages are before any deductions or taxes are taken out. And lastly, if you're reporting wages as a parent or a wage earner and your child receives SSI, only enter your own information. So effective September of this year, so just about a month ago, individuals must create and or sign in using one of the following methods to report your wages. It means you have to create a My SSA account or create a login.gov or ID.me credential. This is just to increase the safety of everyone's information. And with that, I will be passing it to Kanika to discuss the MyWR, also known as My Wage Report.
Thank you, Grace. So My Wage Report or MyWR is another option, and it's a great one. It's our internet wage reporting option via My SSA. So what does that mean? The My Wage Report is basically an automated wage reporting application for Social Security disability beneficiaries and supplemental security income recipients, as well as concurrent beneficiaries receiving both benefits. Wage reporters using this tool provide information from individual pay stubs instead of calculating a monthly gross total. Now, it's important to note a few things with MyWR. MyWR, as Grace mentioned, does require the reporting individual to have a My SSA account. It also displays employers for which the reporter can submit wage information based on an EIN match. It's important to also note here that the employer information and EIN should be provided to Social Security before trying to input wages through MyWR, so that the employer's information shows accurately online and matches. MyWR also accepts wage reports for only the month immediately preceding the report. Social Security disability beneficiaries may report up to 24 months of past wages. MyWR will generate a wage receipt for SSI recipients, and MyWR accommodates recipients with multiple employers. And again, there I'm making the same note that employment information for each of those employers, their names and their EINs should be provided to Social Security prior to trying to enter that information online through MyWR. The reporter must complete fields including but not limited to frequency of pay period begin and end date, pay date, and their gross pay. Now, there are restrictions and limitations to MyWR. As mentioned, a reporter can report wages using MyWR on any day during the current reporting month, though it is highly encouraged to report wages during the first 6 days of the month to help prevent an improper payment, overpayment, or underpayment. Also important to note that you cannot post wages, an individual cannot post wages to records that have terminated, records with unearned income, or records with income-related work expenses, blind work expenses, or current pending past applications. If there are problems when using MyWR, it's important to report those problems by providing detailed input information to your local office. The information that we're looking for are the date and times the application was used, information about the error message received, especially where a user may have been kicked out of the system, and Social Security numbers that are provided on MyWR. Once all of those details are given to Social Security, we will need to ensure that correct information was provided on the front end by the user in order to troubleshoot for the error on the back end. Now, this process can take a few weeks once problems are reported. If it goes beyond 30 days, you can definitely contact your area work incentive coordinator to follow up with that. Now we'll go over reporting responsibilities. If you receive benefits from Social Security, you do have an obligation to report changes. Changes that could affect your eligibility for disability, retirement, and supplemental security income programs. You should be reporting to any changes that may affect your benefits immediately, but no later than 10 days after the end of the month in which the change occurred. Changes you need to report can vary from a change of address all the way to traveling outside of the United States for 30 consecutive days. And these changes are listed on a copy of the application for benefits that you would have received. Now, what to report for each program? We'll go over Social Security Disability first. For Social Security Disability, you would want to report a return to work, receipt of other disability benefits or non-covered pensions, and by other disability benefits, that could be things like workers' compensation or state disability benefits. If you're offered services under the Ticket to Work program, if you've had a change of address, change of phone number, or bank information, if a warrant has been issued or conviction of a crime, and travel outside of the United States. And with that, we'll go to supplemental security income. For this program, all of these reporting issues are listed, but I'm going to go over a few. So if there's a change in your income or the income of a family member, a change in your resources, you get help with living expenses, you get married or separated or divorced, if you leave the United States, or if you're confined to a correctional facility. All of these are SSI reporting responsibilities. And now that we've gone over requirements for reporting options, and reporting responsibilities, Grace is going to be providing some helpful resources and references.
Thank you, Kamika. On this slide here, you'll see our landing page for our redesigned and fabulous website. Our website is a very valuable resource of information about all Social Security programs. And with the redesign is now accessible from a computer, tablet, and smartphone. We encourage you to utilize our website as you plan for your future, as you review your benefits. It has an excellent search function here. It's been updated to reflect really reflected to keep the user in mind, and we've made these updates and enhancements through the years based on feedback we've received from the public. Now, using that search function, you could just type in something like wage reporting, and you'll immediately get a bunch of matches from our website itself, our blogs. You can see here that YouTube video does pop up. The keywords can be very simple, and it'll pull up anything relevant to what you're looking for. If you scroll down on that home page, you'll be able to see under the column for support there on the bottom left, we've circled publications. All of our publications, marketing flyers, as well as handouts are all available online. If you click on there, you'll be routed to this page, again, with a great search function. And it allows for you to pull up any publication that Social Security issues via PDF for you to download and read, on your device, or if you want to print it out, or just open it and be able to close it. Some of the publications do have audio availability for it to basically read it to you. A few of the publications as well do offer it to be translated into other languages. On this next slide here, we did highlight a few helpful publications in regards to reporting your wages. And we do want to continue to encourage, if you haven't created a MySSA account, and when you're working with the various consumers and clients you work with daily, to encourage them as well to create their own MySSA account. It is a very convenient suite of services that is secure and allows for us to put our personal Social Security information in our hands and control it ourselves. It allows you to review your earnings record. It allows you to make changes on your account. It allows you to report your wages. So if you haven't already, we do encourage you to create your MySSA account, and please continue to encourage others as well. Now, we will be moving on to some of the questions that we received prior to the today's presentation that we would love to go over with you.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started with number 1. I routinely submit written or faxed wage reports when my son has impairment-related work expenses or IRWs to our Social Security Disability Claims Representative and request confirmation of receipt. Still, I have not yet received any confirmation. What should I expect to receive from my claims representative and or Social Security?
Thank you, Kanika. That was actually, that's a very good question, because this comes up a lot of times, and it is important to receive that receipt. It confirms that your wages, that you reported your wages timely. It also confirms that they've been added to the record, whether you're on SSI, SSDI, or both. So if you walk it into an office, your wages, and they typically will load them onto your record and provide you with a receipt in that moment. However, if they are inundated with a busy lobby and maybe you have several months of wages that you need to have uploaded, the technicians at the windows may take photocopies and advise you that they're going to be loading them at a later time. If that's the case, what I've encouraged people to do when they've come into field offices I've worked in is to at least ask for their copy to be stamped. Every office has a date stamp that'll show proof that it was submitted to us timely. Now, you should be getting a receipt in the mail within probably 2 weeks or so. Less than that, it's issued out once they're loading them. So if you haven't received your receipt, I would encourage you to contact your local field office where you submitted the wages to ensure that they were loaded and that that receipt is issued to you. When you fax them in, it's the same concept. They do load them, and an issue is automatically output. So if you haven't received that, you do want to follow up. Question number 2. Will SSA expand the My SSA account so that a beneficiary or payee can request impairment-related work expenses and upload receipts on My SSA? And if this could happen, then your system provides its own receipt.
Now, this is an excellent question, and we did go over some of this on a previous slide, where IRWs or income-related work expenses are actually one of the restrictions or limitations at the moment to entering and uploading wage information on MyWR through your My SSA account. And that is for multiple reasons. There are a few things that are needed when you're reporting IRWs. The first is an SSA 821 or 820 work activity report. The second are the proof of the IRWs. So it could be a check copy or a receipt for the IRWs. And the third is actually a statement that you will not be reimbursed for the IRWs. And that is the system's limitation in uploading that information for IRWs to MyWR. Hopefully we are moving there, but that is not the case. That's not available. It's not an available feature at the moment.
It would be a great enhancement though, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Thank you, Kanika. Number 3, I work for a ride-share food delivery company, such as Uber or Lyft, as a driver. Is this considered self-employment or regular employment? Also, how would I report the earnings I receive from these companies? Is there anything else I should consider?
Yes, and this is also a great question. So generally, if you are not paid via a W-2 and you file your taxes as self-employed the following year, you're generally considered self-employed if you're an Uber or a Lyft driver. And if that is the case, you would be reporting your earnings via an SSA 820 or self-employment work activity report form. It's important to note there that there are 3 tests for self-employment to fully evaluate substantial gainful activity, work, and earnings. The first is net earnings from your self-employment. So that is gross income less your business expenses. And then the second is comparability of work. What kind of hours do you keep, your job duties and responsibilities, as compared to an unimpaired individual performing the same kind of work. And the last that we would consider would be worth of work activity, or the kinds of management decisions you make, the ownership shares in the business. And we would look at all 3 of those questions being answered on the SSA 820 to let you know or to evaluate your substantial gainful activity when performing self-employment.
Great. Number 4, as an SSDI beneficiary, if I make under the SGA level or the substantial gainful activity level, do I still need to report my wages to Social Security?
The short and sweet answer is it depends. So what that basically, as we had mentioned, if there are any changes to your work activity, it's really important that you report that information. You stop working, you start working, your job duties, responsibilities have changed, you're working fewer hours, or you have income-related work expenses. In those cases, for sure, but you really never know where you're at in the process. So I would definitely encourage reporting that information always to Social Security.
And lastly, number 5, do I need to report financial aid or grants I receive for college to Social Security?
This is a fantastic question. So financial aid or grants are excluded when they're being used for the purpose of tuition or other educational expenses. Now, if they're not being used for educational expenses or tuition, there are certain types of financial aid or grants that can be excluded for up to 9 months for SSI purposes. So in those cases where they're not being specifically used for tuition and or other educational expenses, the type of financial aid or grant, the amount received, and the purpose for which it is being used should be reported to Social Security.
Great, thank you so much, Kanika, and thank you all for submitting those really great questions. We are about to open it up for our Q&A session. We do have quite a few questions here in the chat.
Grace, let me know if you need any assistance going through the chat and the Q&A. I can read some out to you if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm going to try to open it up. I just don't know if it'll show on my share screen there. All right. I see some here.
So just to kind of build on one of the topics you talked about, Heather in the chat asks, so is it a different reporting form for self-employment? So there are two different reporting forms, or Kanika, you can go ahead and take over the topic.
Yes, and I apologize if I went too quickly on that. There are two different reporting forms. For self-employed individuals, it's the SSA 820 or self-employment work activity report form. And that is different from the SSA 820, 820, I'm sorry, 821, 821. For those who are employed, have wages, they would be filling out just a work activity report, not for self-employment.
All right, thank you, Kanika. So one question we had in the Q&A box is, I can't report because they said I need to tell them who my employer is first, but I'm self-employed and don't have an employer. What do I do to report? Oh, Kanika, Grace, are you guys there?
Yes, well, say that for me one more time, Julian. You kind of cut out for me.
Oh, sorry about that. The question is, I am unable to report because they said that I need to report my employer to them, but I'm self-employed. What do I do to report?
Yeah, so it's going to be the same sort of answer. If you're self-employed, you're going to want to fill out that SSA 820 for self-employment work activity, where you can provide complete detailed information about your self-employment, whether it's your own business, you share that business, what your net earnings are, what your business expenses are. If you have any other assistance like ERWIs or BWIs, it would be the SSA 820 self-employment work activity report form.
Thank you, Kanika. We also had a question about passive income. So does passive income need to be reported to Social Security?
And I think as per passive income, Julian, they mean maybe like income not from work, right? Not from work and earning through an employer or self-employment. So if that's what they're meaning by the passive income, if you are on SSI, then yes, it needs to be reported. If you're on Social Security disability, then we don't need to know specifically about passive income, again, unless it comes from maybe a non-covered pension or a different type of disability pension. If it's from rental income or some other investments, then no, we don't need to know about it specifically.
And just to add to that, if you're going to end up paying taxes on it and it's going to be reported from the IRS, we won't be able to decipher whether it's from passive or active income. So if you're receiving a Social Security disability benefit, you may want to report it on an SSA 821 to state that it's not from active income, it's passive and what exactly it's from.
Awesome. So I do see, I'm kind of going to group a few questions together that are all kind of similar. So no matter if someone is going to work and they have income, whether it's $20 in a month or $1,000 in a month, do they need to report no matter how much they earn? Or only report if they make over a certain amount? And that's for both SSI and SSDI.
Do you want to take that one, Kanika, or?
Yeah, so for SSI for sure. For Social Security disability, again, it depends where you're at in the process. If you've had a work change, you've started working, stopped working, something has changed about your work, or you just want to know where you're at in the process, I would, if you have a doubt, report that information.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's the general idea, right? Is if you have a doubt, it's be on the safer side just to report. So this kind of builds on that self-employment question we had earlier. But we had an attendee that was told that they only needed to report, we're only looking at the Schedule C net profit that they have at the end of the year when filing their taxes. Do they still need to fill out that 820 form?
Yes, it's really important because we look at all three of those tests that I mentioned, not just your net fee or your net earnings from self-employment. It's also that comparability of your work to others who are unimpaired in the same position. Things like your working hours, your duties and responsibilities, and then the kind of management decisions you make if it's your own business, if you have ownership shares and there are others involved who own the business and are also making decisions. So we look at all of those things, a combination of all of those factors before we can tell you that you are performing SGA or not. It's not just those earnings.
Awesome. Let me see here. So what if my employer pays me late? So they work all, let's say, for example, they work all of October, but they're not paid for that work until the 12th of November. Now, how should they report? Do they need to report for October, even if the income or their wages come late?
I can take that one, Kanika. This is another one of those questions where it depends on what benefits they're getting. Social, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kanika, Social Security counts your income when it's earned. SSI is going to count your income when it's received. And so to answer their question, which is an excellent question, it depends if they're getting, which program they're getting, or if they're getting both. Now, as far as how they would go about reporting it, as we mentioned, the different reporting tools for Social Security disability can be reported up to 24 months. So they could just report it, showing that it's income for October. Now, for SSI purposes, because we count income when it's received, that income would count for the month of November.
All right, awesome. So we have a question for from a representative payee. So they have a conservatorship for their 20-year-old disabled child. How are they able to set up a My SSA account for them? And is there a way for them to report wages on their behalf using that My SSA? No, please let me know if you were able to hear me okay.
Yeah, no, I heard you. So I can go ahead and get started. And Grace, if you have anything to add, please do. So a representative payee or a conservator would not be able to add wages to My WR or My SSA, but they can use the other reporting options that we mentioned prior to My WR. And Grace, let me know if you feel differently or you've heard differently, but the telephone reporting system, as well as the mobile wage reporting app. But My WR or your My SSA account does require, as you mentioned, as Grace mentioned, the login.gov, ID Me, My SSA verification and sign in.
Okay, so we have a question.
I'm sorry, Julian. I was trying to unmute myself there. Everything, I agree with Kanika. I think you want to make sure that as a conservator that you do also make sure you are showing, I believe, as a payee for SSA as well.
Okay, so we have a question about someone going through a paid work experience, or more specifically, a workability adult transition program where they are receiving wages for the work they do. Do they need to report those wages as well?
One more time for me, Julian, I'm sorry.
So we have a couple questions about someone going through a paid work experience, more specifically talking about workability. So they're going through an adult transition program that they provide, they do some work and they are paid for that work. Would they need to report those wages to Social Security as well?
I would say yes, in order to get that information on record. Once we have it on record, your local office can tell you if you need to be reporting it in the future. So that initial reporting and initial evaluation is important.
All right, awesome. And I think like we had mentioned before, if you are unsure whether it needs to be reported, the best course of action is to report it to Social Security, because they will be able to tell you whether it's needed or not. All right, so I think we have time for just about one more question. So let me go ahead and scroll through the chat. I know we have a lot of questions coming in. Let me see. So I guess one more time, Grace Kanika, would you mind sharing the name of the wage reporting app, as well as the My SSA website? And I think I can go ahead and actually, let me see if I can type that in the chat.
Thank you, Julian.
Here. Okay, we have a question about, I think this goes into whether they need to report or not, but do things like treasury bills, does the dividends that they get from a treasury bill need to be reported to Social Security? Or from, let's say, an investment?
It depends. It depends if you're paying taxes on it, if the IRS is going to be reporting that information to Social Security. And again, we wouldn't be able to decipher whether that's from actual work and earnings, or if it's passive income.
Yeah, so typically if that is the situation for you, then you want to make sure to have some type of documentation showing that that income is from that treasury bill, so that we can annotate that to your record and make sure we don't count it as earnings from work.
We have a question. How do families with a child that receives SSI save money? Is there any way, are a parent's resources counted towards the child or beneficiary or child beneficiary of SSI? And is there any workaround for that?
So yes, their income for their minor child is going to be counted as a resource, or their income is counted as income for the child. Not sure if you guys have, you looked into a Cal Able account. Wouldn't really call it maybe a workaround, but it is a way to save for disabled individuals to be able to save money, or for people with disabled children to save money. There are some, criteria and guidelines regarding the Cal Able account. It's not really in our purview because it's separate from Social Security, but it does allow income to be excluded for SSA counting purposes. So we would recommend that.
Yes, the ABLE account is great. And I'm going to go ahead and, I know I've said this multiple times, but the Red Book, which is available on our site on ssa.gov, has some great resources that are available to families, individuals, adult children who may need resources. So please do take a look at the Red Book. The end of the Red Book has all of these, options and resources available, and I highly encourage going through that.
Okay, awesome. And so another question we've received a few of is kind of in relation to reporting that initial report of their employer to Social Security. Are there any best practices in doing so, and what information do they need to submit about their employer?
So the best way to report wages and work information is with the SSA 821 or SSA 820. And that can be done with, filling out a hard copy, walking it into your local field office, faxing it into them, mailing it into them, or also the option is available to fill out that form online on ssa.gov. You can even search for the form or go to forms and type in the form name. A link will appear to fill out the E821 or E820 and submit it online if that is easier for you. And the kind of information that you may need would be details about the employer, their name, address, phone number, the date that you started working for them, if you're still working or if you stopped working, your rate of pay and the frequency at which you're paid, as well as the average hours that you work. And that
don't forget your Social Security number on it.
And your Social Security number. And of course, the more detailed information for the self-employment report, as I had previously mentioned.
And Julian, just as you've shown before, if they look up their closest field office or their local office on our website under the ways to contact us, it will list their field office's electronic fax number. If submitting it electronically through the website isn't working for you, you can utilize the electronic fax. That allows you to print out a fax confirmation that it was delivered, and that'll automatically upload into that office's work queue for them to assign out and begin processing.
Right, awesome. Well, I think that's all the time we have for questions. Grace and Kanika, thank you guys so much. This is an amazing presentation, and really great Q&A session. I think I've learned a lot, and I've been doing this for over 8 years, so really appreciate you guys being here, and always learning something new.
Oh, thank you, Julian, and thank you, Emma.